The ideas presented in the Havamal at the end, when Odin speaks of these secrets and these ideas, these are methods of mysticism. These are methods of spellcraft. These are methods of sympathetic mysticism, of understanding the self, of a higher plane of existence, a deeper plane of being, that don't have anything to do with an alphabet, other than the fact that they were recorded using an alphabet. I mean, come on. That being said, you know, what Thorrson did, what Stephen Flowers did, was simply making use of the right time and the right place. This was during the pagan revitalization in the world. Now, mind you, this is not rediscovery, this is revitalization. This is a reinvention of paganism. And we all of us wanted something we could believe was ancient, that was secret, that was hidden. And we bought into all of it. We bought into so much bullcrap, looking for the truth, that any practicing wizard who has a library has books filled with bullshit. We will never need logs to keep us warm in the winter for all of the things we could burn that are useless to us, that pulled from a system that claims to be thousands of years old and isn't even 100. Maybe 100 years old in some instances. Most of what Thorrson pulled from for his mysticism was based on the Hermetic methods of mysticism, and it's a fine method of mysticism. It's a codified method of mysticism. But it's not 2, 3, 4,000 years old. It doesn't go back to the Vikings, and it doesn't even go back to the Celts. The system of mysticism that our forefathers used was called sympathetic mysticism, and we're gonna cover that in another show. But sympathetic mysticism means taking on the properties of something by association with it, by becoming closer to it. It's a mental linking. You know, much as my Warhammer, when it broke, I had to make the decision to repair it or to use it in an improved way. That was a form of sympathetic mysticism on my part. In it, I gained a tool for both mysticism and also a tool as a fighting tool that fit better with the modern day methods. I can use this as a fighting spike, this Warhammer head, when it was detached from the handle, as easily as I could a fighting knife. So all of the techniques I learned within that become comparative. It was a way of looking at improving myself by improving my mind. And I had the opportunity to have it repaired several occasions. I've had a good friend offer to repair the hammer for me. And I refused, not because I was leaving the Norse way, but because I was understanding that this was better for me. This was the more of the truth of the man I wanted to become: sleeker, stronger, faster. That's sympathetic mysticism. Understanding that there's a link between the common action and the deeper meaning, the deeper mentality. That is the root of sympathetic mysticism. And sympathetic mysticism and bindings are the root of all mysticism. We'll be doing another show on that in the future also. But to take a look just briefly one last time at what Thorrson has done, he tricked you. He played with your mind, he played with your emotions, he played with you because he knew what you wanted to believe. He knew what you wanted to believe. He knew it just as I knew it. But see, the difference is I also know there's a part of you that wants to wake up. There's a part of you that if you're listening to a program hosted on the Nights of Awakening, that means you're not satisfied with buying into your own bullshit. You want to know the truth of the world. Now, in my shows, those who've listened in the past, those who are listening today, if you listen to the intro, there's a moment when I say, I cannot unravel the mystery for you, but I can help you unravel the mystery for yourself. This bringing to light what Thorrson did is excellent, not because it destroys, but because it helps create. When I found out, through my research and deep reading, and even basic meditation on the runes, when I found that the more I became in tune with Odin and Thor, the less these things resonated as more than an alphabet. The idea of writing a spell in them sounded great. The idea of using them as symbols of power felt empty somehow. When that happened, I started realizing that there was more to this than just what I was seeing. That there was a benefit in this, but it took me months before I could use the runes again. And the runes are touted as an oracle, and they work as a great oracle. But not because they're 5,000-year-old rocks or twigs. They work as a great oracle because an advanced system of them has been provided to the consciousness of the people. The cosmic awareness, the consensual reality, that knowledge, that agreed upon consciousness within the people, the collective consciousnness of the people on Earth has absorbed the concept of the runes. We've seen them used in this way now for over 100 years, or almost 100 years. I should say we've seen them used this way for over 30 years. And we've had the idea that they meant something deep and mysterious for the past couple hundred years. With that, we now have this idea that they do this thing. It's part of our conscious awareness, just as the cross, just as the pentagram. And we all know that the cross wasn't really what Jesus hung on. It was a crucifix. It was a stake driven into the ground. We all know that things didn't happen the way they were wrote, but yet it still remains a powerful symbol. So these can be used as powerful symbols. But in not buying into your own bullshit, you take some of that power back. And you recognize where it's coming from, and you don't put it to an empty place. You put it into a strong place. That part of you that says, I define my reality, I make it what it is. And in that, I have the power to change it. I have the power to exert my will on the world around me. So they work as a great oracle because of that. Because you're drawing from that collective work and knowledge, and all of those things you're going to read and learn, build a stronger idea in your mind. So when you see those runes scattered across your floor, scattered across a cloth or a table, you look at them, and in your mind, you take all of that information, and it meshes together with your psychic centers, with your psychic potential. And from that place comes a realization that, oh, this rune is turned to the side in this way. And that means this. It's interacting with these runes here, so you can see clearly that this is the meaning of those runes laid about in front of me. That is your psychic potential coming through with the runes as an amplifier, using the knowledge you've obtained as a gestalt to your existing abilities. It's a fantastic tool in that respect. There may be none better, in my opinion. But you have to recognize where it comes from. You have to get away from the ego of passed down for 2,000 years. No, passed down for about 30, 40, 50, something like that. Maybe. If that, right? Passed down for a couple of years. Passed down for a little bit. Yeah, that's the runes. That's the runes that are these little carved things in stone. And they're still as good a tool as they ever were. Still as good a tool as the playing cards that you call tarot cards. Still as good a tool as any other tool of mysticism. Still just as true. Still just as insightful. But you're not bowing down to the runes. You're seeing them as a tool. You're not removing power from their ability to work for you. And it took me months to get back to where I could use them again. But before the realization of their falseness, I knew that I used them as a psychic amplifier. Because I would get a feeling about how each rune was interrelating with the others. This was my subconscious talking to me about the question. And you know what? I've never had a rune reading that was wrong. I've had rune readings that people didn't heed. I've had rune readings that people didn't listen to. Oh, that's bullshit, sir. We call bullshit. Those runes, they don't speak to what you say. They speak to my future as I determine it. And I'm there looking, really? Are you sure? Because I'm getting this really weird feeling from the little rocks on the ground. And from the timeline, from the universe itself, I'm getting this feeling that you may not be, oh, your little rocks cannot tell me what I do. Really? I don't think they are. I think the nature of the entire flow of the universe is speaking through me and telling you that you're about to do something stupid, dumbass, don't do it. That has never failed me. But that doesn't fail me if I close my eyes and go to a deep state of transcendental meditation. It doesn't fail me if I use tarot cards. And it doesn't fail me if I use a pendulum. Because half of a pendulum is knowing what question to ask so that you know what answer you're going to get. Because it'll lead you in the direction that you already know to be true. We'll do a show on oracles later. We're coming up towards the end of this show. I got maybe a minute or two left before I call this a wrap. So, before I do, I'm going to say that what this is an introduction to the concept of what runes really are. Because the real runes that we're going to be discussing are Odin's runes. Odin's runes of power. Those hidden mysteries and secrets passed down from the All-Father to man. Now that's some old magic. That's some old mysticism. And it's in recognizing and throwing away those things that we've lost, that had no value, in the ways that they had no value, while maintaining and keeping those things that have value and understanding where their value really is, that we take the first steps to